Just waiting on the rest of the crew to join us. Dougie Fresh. Nice. What's happening, man?
Oh, nothing much, dude.
All right. Is anyone else joining us? Do you know?
I have no idea. Like nobody replied to the chat.
All right. Well, just us in.
Best and worst military movies of all time. Wow.
Yep.
Oh, let me see what Scott's doing.
So, what's your worst military movie of all time, in your opinion?
The fucking Hurt Locker.
Well, okay. So, like, what is everyone's beef about the Hurt Locker? That's what I want to know.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie.
It was a fucking horrible movie.
I mean, it's not realistic, but I mean, it's a good movie.
There is nothing about that movie that is an accurate portrayal that can be construed as an accurate portrayal of military at all. Absolutely nothing.
Oh no. I'm sure, like, I'm sure every EOD tech in the world that saw that movie was like, for the love of God and all things that are holy, please stop.
Like it was it was people's idea of what the military is like. That's all it was.
Yeah,
It was fucking
yeah, I can
stupid.
see that.
Um, I mean, Top Gun was pretty bad, and don't get me wrong. I
Oh,
absolutely
you shut your mouth. I
no no
will
no no no
disconnect you right now.
no no no. I absolutely love Top Gun. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. How the fuck ever, in terms of like actually being able to act and script writing and stuff like that, it was so bad.
Yeah,
That
I mean, yeah, like
bad. Like the
no pilot in the military is gonna be like, because I was inverted. Like, it just
the
that doesn't
line,
happen.
just the lines were so bad, and the acting was so. It's like they took all of the worst actors at the time and put them in one movie, and it turned out to be a really bad, awesome movie. if that makes any sense. Like, there's a lot of movies that I just think,
No, it does.
but they're just so bad, but they're awesome. And that is one of them. But in terms of, again, a movie about military, it's fucking horrible.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Like, Top Gun helped more sailors get into bed than I
Oh,
think
most
any other Navy movie in the history. What do you think about Pearl Harbor?
Oh, I don't even. Oh,
Painful?
yeah, that was really painful to watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that was not a good movie. So, okay, so what about the other one with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson? Was that Men of Honor?
no, Men of Honor was Robert De Niro and Cuba
Oh,
Gooding
with
Jr.
Cookie. That was damn. I should have put that one on there. That was a great movie.
Senior Chief Carl or Master Chief Carl Bashir.
Carbashir. Yeah. God, that
That's
guy.
a great fucking movie.
Yeah. Hey, in fact, did you hear? I don't know if you ever watched the show Survivor, but the first ever season they had a guy on there. His name was Rudy. He was a Master Chief bosun's mate.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah. Man, like I wish I could have met that guy. I mean, because that's what I did. I was a bosun's mate in the Navy, and like I wish I could have met that guy just once. I mean, that dude's got more testosterone in his pinky finger than the next 10 dudes standing next to him.
So another really bad movie, and I was really disappointed that it turned out to be so fucking bad, was Red Tails. So back in the 90s, HBO came out with Tuskegee Airmen. It was a great fucking movie. It was great how they did it. They picked awesome actors, fucking Lawrence Fishburne, Courtney B. Vance, fuck, I can't remember the other guy's name, but they picked some really, really awesome people to play these roles. They did it pretty accurate, and then in the spirit of all these stupid fucking reboots and remakes, they fucking did Red Tails, and it was a complete shit show. Like, they barely spent any time at fucking Tuskegee. Fucking
Yeah,
action sequences were amazing. They were
right.
fucking great. But that was the only good thing about that fucking movie. And then they put in this stupid ass fucking love storyline with one of the fucking pilots and this fucking French girl. I think she was French. And it was just fucking like, they could have done so much with that movie, and they just fucked it up.
Yeah. So, okay, so then which if you had to like watch it on repeat for 10 hours straight, Full Metal Jacket or Jarhead?
Full Metal Jacket all the way.
How realistic do you think Jarhead was in relation to Desert Storm, Desert Shield?
I mean, I was 4 or 5 when Desert Storm happened, so I don't have a lot of. I don't know a whole lot about it.
Yeah.
Actually, I should probably know more about it, but that's one of the ones that I've researched the least into. Honestly, I couldn't say. I feel like there's definitely quite a few parts where it's pretty accurate. Like, that one part
The
where,
Dear John video that the chick sent.
oh, that's fucking legit.
Oh, I know, dude. Like,
I know so
uh
I know so many guys who got shit like that, and it was fucked up. But
yeah.
the the part, if I remember it correctly, don't they have this guy that they're supposed to take out? They have him in their sights, and they're just waiting for the order, and then it comes over the radio, and they're like, stand down.
Yeah.
And like towards the end or whatever, they just start shooting their fucking rifles in the air just so they can say they fucking fired a shot. That's Jarhead
Yeah,
right
I
there.
don't I like I yeah. Yeah, I
But
can't really buy that.
I don't know. The thing about having the guy in their sights and waiting for the order and then getting told to stand down. I feel like that part is super legit because
True, yeah.
the vets that I know that were there, these guys were fucking geared up, ready to fucking rain hell, and a lot of them were just there without really anything to do because they kept getting told to stand down. So I feel like that part
Right.
was.
So, and then, obviously there's, Lone Survivor, which, I don't think like can really be, or not Lone Survivor, but American Sniper. Um, to me that one is like kind of a war related movie, but it's more like about the life of Chris Kyle. Um,
Yeah, I don't really count that one. Just
yeah,
it's one man story. So
yeah. But like Lone Survivor and Lone Survivor for me, that's something where, when people ask me like, why'd you get out of the military? And I point blank tell them it's like the rules of engagement that the military started bringing forth made it to where my inability to act against a combatant put my life in that much more danger, especially being on a ship. We talked about it a little bit last week. Um, like, I'm sorry. I mean, if a boat is rolling towards me and we're anchored out at sea, which means we can't fucking go anywhere, and I've shot off my warning flares at them, and I can't still light up my 50 cal until they're like 25 yards next to the ship. Well, if they're loaded up with explosives, it doesn't. They can be 25 yards away. The shockwave is going to do plenty of damage in of itself. And like Lone Survivor, when people ask me, well, do you think it was that real? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much, because there's no reason that any SEAL would have allowed quote non-combatants, even though they had a fucking radio with the Taliban chirping on it 24/7. There's no way they would have let them go. So that's just my little tangent on ROE and how the government has really fucked up our military.
um I was at there's a barbecue joint around the corner. I go there for lunch like 2-3 times a week because it's fucking awesome. And there's a guy that was there a couple days ago, and I forget what era he was from. And he was oh no, he was Somalia, fucking Somalia, and 91. He was in Somalia in 91, and he was telling me the same shit that we say about our ROE, when we were where we were. He said the exact same thing about it back then. I was like, honestly, I didn't even realize that y'all had the same stupid ass ROE back then. He was like, oh yeah.
It's like, I mean, it pisses me off, but I mean,
Like Lone
you
Survivor
know,
was there's a movie that didn't get a lot of, I guess, publicity or play or whatever. It was you probably saw it. It was Act of Valor. It came out about
yeah, yeah, I saw
five,
that one. That was a great movie.
like eight, somewhere between like 6 and 8 years ago or whatever. And the all of the guys that acted in the movie were actual operators.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. The guy with the beard, the senior chief. Oh man, that dude's badass.
so I liked that one. It wasn't like, special effects weren't like fucking super huge. The budget wasn't super huge. There weren't any like super big names in it, but the dialogue seemed real. And because they were actual operators,
Yeah,
the way that they engaged with each other on screen was definitely real.
yeah.
And that
All the
fucking
lingo and the jargon and everything.
and that letter at the end that the guy read, like right when the movie's ending or whatever, that I know for a fact that shit was real.
Yeah, that's
That was, I would have to say that's one of the best ones I've seen.
yeah,
They did an incredible job of not fucking it up.
yeah. Well, I think by having all of the active duty operators in there, I think, I mean, it wasn't like the best acting in the world, but it was the realist. in terms of what they portrayed. And I mean, but I mean, a movie like that, I don't want it to be like freaking Keanu Reeves and the best acting in the world. I want it to be like nitty gritty, real shit. And yeah, Act of Valor, that's one of those movies that if I see it, as I'm scrolling through the TV list, if I see that, it's going on the television. So
like, there's a whole bunch of them that I just like. I cannot and probably will not ever watch again. They're great movies, but it takes such a toll watching them that I can't watch them again. Act of Valor was one. Lone Survivor was one.
yeah,
I can make it through Black Hawk Down, but I have to have like a day or two of recovery afterwards.
oh yeah, yeah.
I can make it through Black Hawk Down, but the other ones, like the one that came out, fuck, was it? Oh shit! Oh, what was it, like a year or two ago? Thank You for Your Service. Did you see that one?
I haven't seen that because I
So
didn't know if that was like some of the who's that fat chunky piece of shit that did Bowling for Columbine. Uh, Michael Moore. I didn't know if it was going to be like a Michael Moore movie or if it was going to be like the uh taking taking home chance with Kevin Bacon.
So I can tell you, Michael Moore has absolutely nothing to do with it, and it's not anything like anything Michael Moore would ever actually do. It is a great
Okay.
fuck movie, but I will tell you, that movie will fuck you up.
Is it going to be pretty gnarly?
I don't know a single dude that went and fucking saw that movie and didn't cry in the fucking theater and in the parking lot afterwards. Like,
Shit.
my best friend saw it first. Or no, I saw it first. And, like, I went and saw it by myself. I absolutely should not have done that. Like, bro, I am telling you, I was, like, curled up in a ball in the fucking chair in the movie theater, bawling my eyes out like 15 minutes into the fucking movie, and I just like stayed crying the entire time. And then I sat in my car for like 45 minutes in the parking lot afterwards, just trying to compose myself because I'm just like, man, that shit was so real. Like, they fucking got that. Like, that movie, dude. I don't know who consulted. I don't know who they talked to, but that was about as real as you can get to the aftermath of transition and dealing with all that stuff, coming home from war, dealing with all of that shit. That is about as real as you can put on screen without literally filming these motherfuckers go through it.
Yeah. Have you seen Taking Chance?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, that was brutal. Man, that was brutal. That was a really hard one to watch. So, okay, well, I mean, we kind of like listed out our favorites. So, so let's see. So the other thing that we were gonna talk about, which, like I was hoping to get, someone that had like EOD experience because I think they would have been able to, throw in some good input. But such as it is. So, let me see. So I just got a message. A couple other good movies. Saving Private Ryan and Inglorious Bastards. I have not seen Inglorious Bastards.
I mean, I don't know if it's a comedy, so I don't know if I really like count that as a quote unquote military movie. I mean, I guess
Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah.
I guess, man, I guess I'll have to go bite the bullet and watch that. It just, to me, like when I saw the previews for it, it looked so stupid to me.
Like I said, it's like lowbrow comedy. It's fucking great. It's definitely like military humor worthy. It's fucking awesome. I just don't know if I would count that in a list of like military. When I think of a military movie, I think of something that is like serious and is like portraying something for real. For me, that's just Glorious Bastards. Saving Private Ryan was probably like the first. Saving Private Ryan is like the godfather of decent fucking.
Yeah.
Like it was.
At least of our era.
Yeah, of our era. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, actually, I would say overall, just because everything that was produced beforehand, it all had very blatant propaganda purposes.
Yeah.
They were great movies. All the John Wayne war movies. You got In Harm's Way. You got PT 109. You got Run Silent, Run Deep. You got fucking
Hunt for Red October.
Midway. You got all these awesome fucking movies, and they're all great in their own right. But
yeah.
Oh, what was it? The one with the Nimitz and Kirk Douglas, and they went back in time to 1945. To Pearl Harbor. God damn it! The fucking Nimitz went back in time to just before Pearl Harbor got attacked. Oh, what was the movie called? I love that.
The movie. Final Countdown.
Yes. Except Journey had, or not Journey. Whoever it was had absolutely nothing to do with it. But
yeah,
dude, Final Countdown was great. But again,
really,
all of these movies are just like, they're campy. You know, they have a distinct propaganda twist to them. Like, oh, this Saving Private Ryan is like the first one that showed, or at least attempted to show as close as it could get, the true nature of the environment.
Yeah.
And like that, and don't get me wrong, I grew up on literally all of those old fucking war movies. Every single one.
And I think, like, I already know, I haven't kept up with all the Star Wars movies, so nerding out a little bit. I'm going to have to go through and watch, like, all of them in order. But, like, all these, you know, like my wife just said, Platoon, The Dirty Dozen, Patton. Like, I've never seen those before.
What?
Yeah. I've never seen Platoon. I've never seen Hamburger Hill. I need to, though.
Oh, Hamburger Hill is amazing. Dirty Dozen.
I'm slowly but surely, you know.
Dude, Dirty Dozen, Guns of Navarone, what was it? Force 10 from Navarone, Bridge Over the River Kwai, fucking, oh man. Dirty Dozen is one of my all-time favorites. Like, you had Jim Brown, you had fucking Telly Savalas, you had all these fucking Charles Bronson, you had God, man.
Jeez.
Like, you had these fucking all-stars, dude, and they just like wrecked the fucking screen. It was great. Fucking Kelly's, or yeah.
All right, we're gonna have to like come up with like an all-star list and share it out. So, because I feel like I'm totally inept right now based on all the movies that are being tossed out at me. So I got to check out some of these bad boys.
So, you know, everybody knows R. Lee Ermey from Full Metal Jacket, but he was also Boys of Company C.
Okay. Did you? I tell you what, I saw an interview that R. Lee Ermey did about how realistic Full Metal Jacket was as far as like the boot camp to when he was actually pushing boots, and he said, you got to realize that at any given point in time, the Marine Corps normally has roughly 250 to 300,000 active duty men and women. But during Vietnam, at any given point in time, they were pushing 80 to 90,000 boots, like at a given time. And so what, boot or basic training for the Marines is what, 13 weeks long. So, I mean, they essentially had to triple, quintuple their workforce in order to push all these Marines out. And he's like, we weren't supposed to hit them. We weren't supposed to punch them. But instead of writing them up, I figured punch them in the gut would get the fucking point across. And I'm like, how the military should have stayed. You know, but man, like Arlie Ermy, I mean, he had such, I mean, just such incredible wisdom, and and the fact was he could speak eloquently when he needed to, and he could talk like a total jarhead when he needed to. But there's a little tip of the hat uh, to old Gunny, because man, he was a mean some bitch, but he was good too.
Yeah.
So, all right, like the other thing I wanted to talk about was I don't know where the thought came from, but I was thinking, they use both the quadcopter drones in the military, and then they use the high altitude drones, and starting to use robots, and starting to use, I'm sure that in the secret sector, I'm sure we could probably ping Boone on this, as far as like AI goes in the military, but like I'm sure for for the EOD guys using robots to go out and pick at an IED. Yes, I would much rather have a kid with a PlayStation controller tied to a robot to go and defuse a bomb. But like, what about? I mean, airstrikes with drones. At least, I mean, do you think that there's a psychological difference for the drone pilots versus the actual pilots that are in the air that are dropping bombs or firing missiles? Do you think that there's a slight disconnect, or do you think that they go through the same thing, whether they're on the ground manning a plane or up in the air with a jet?
There was actually a movie about that, I think, with Kevin Bacon. Maybe somebody else. I don't remember. It was like the last 6 or 7 years came out. I mean, obviously there is a disconnect. There's always going to be a disconnect between a similar circumstance and that exact circumstance. Um, I I do believe that drone operators, um, they experience something. If, like, say they're given an order and they got to push the button and fuck some shit up. I definitely think that at some point they do probably experience something. I cannot say though that it is the same thing or of the same intensity or on the same level, simply because when you're there, when you are there, either on the ground or in the air, when you are there and you are seeing it with your own eyes, and there is not a relay between what you are doing and the result of your actions. You have a drone pilot in fucking Nevada or where the fuck ever, and their signals get bounced off of a fucking satellite and then sent to a machine, and then the machine, you know, does what machines do and interprets the signal and then takes the action. Like, all of that disconnect is not there, whether you're pulling the trigger on the ground or in the air. It is immediate, it is instantaneous, and you see firsthand the split second immediate results of your actions.
Yeah.
It's different seeing it happen on a screen from a few thousand miles away. And that's not to say that these people serve any less or they do any less. Like, I know quite a few guys whose asses were saved by fucking drones and shit. But as far as the actual operator and what they go through, and the people on the ground or in the air in the actual theater of the area of operations, I do think there is a disconnect. I think there's something that gets lost in translation. Like I said, I have no doubt that these people go through something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Stealth with Jamie Foxx, where they had that AI plane that lit up the village, and everyone else was saying no, 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 no. Where there's, like the human element, and I almost wonder.
None of our drones or AI right now are self-operating. Like, it's all
Right.
controlled by a person. So
Yeah. I mean, a little bit by like maybe like desensitized, whereas the pilot that is up over the ground that they're about to bombard, whether it be shooting guns or missiles or bombs, do you think that the drone operators and the people giving the commands are a little bit more likely to engage per se, because it's like, I don't want to say a simulated video game, but I mean, to me, like, when I think of a drone operator, that's what I see in my mind's eye, is someone playing a video game. And even though there's real lives on the other end of it, I think it would be easier for them to pull the trigger, pull the switch, or hit the button than the pilot that, with their own eyeballs, can see these people that they're about to light up. And like, again, I don't want to take away from the drone operators, but I think that they might be a little bit more desensitized to the scenario that they're.
It was called Good Kill, and it wasn't Kevin Bacon. It was Ethan Hawke. That movie.
Okay.
That movie is literally about what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
He's a drone pilot, and he like does all this shit, and then like he starts having issues with it. Like it starts affecting him. Again, I don't know how legit that is. I know like one drone pilot, and he's already a crazy son of a bitch, so it doesn't matter. But like I've never been in that position, so like I can't. I don't know. I can't really speak on it. I just the only thing I can say is that yes, I do think that there is a disconnect from one to the other simply because you literally are disconnected from the situation.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that's one of those situations where you can still be disconnected from it like that and still have the same uh, emotions or feelings about it. Because there are situations like that. Maybe it's something completely different. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, like, kind of like one concern, it would be like if I was in the leadership of the drone squadron, I wouldn't be so concerned if people showed the same kind of feelings as an actual pilot. I would be more concerned if they were cold and indifferent, because I mean, like, I've talked to pilots, and even though they're far away, they're hundreds of feet away, and they've had to engage, they still have the after effects of it. But I would be concerned that a drone pilot would essentially be cold to the whole thing, that the lives on the screen that they are essentially ending would be of no consequence to them. I again, maybe we gotta hit up people that are drone pilots to figure out a little bit more. So
Yeah, definitely.
so what about like AI and the military? I mean, you've got ships in the Navy that can pretty much go on autopilot. You've got planes that, for the most part, can go on autopilot. At what point do we relinquish too much control to a system that is zeros and ones but doesn't have a mind or a heart?
So, you know, I watched way too many Terminator movies. In fact, I just watched the new one the other day. So I joke all the fucking time about Facebook and Google and all this shit. I'm like, Skynet's fucking taking over. And I'm
Right.
not joking, but that's like one part, and that's just like the more sarcastic part of me. But the sarcastic
Yeah.
part that wants all that shit to happen, so I can say I told you so. But that's just me being an asshole. Um,
A little bit fatalistic, but
honestly, I like the fact that EOD guys can use robots. I like the
yeah.
fact that we have drone pilots and that we're putting less actual, like not actual, but less live pilots' lives at risk. I like the fact that they're trying to um, come up with all this shit, this automated stuff to help the guys on the ground. I like that because that means we lose fewer people. But at the
Yeah.
same time, the problem is that all warfare, is supposed to be dirty. It's supposed to be nasty. It's supposed to be bloody, and it's supposed to fucking disturb you. And it's supposed to do that so that you can remember the tragedy and the horror of everything that you had to experience so that you don't make the same mistakes that led you there in the first place in the future.
Yeah.
Like, war is supposed to be like that because it's supposed to
Yeah.
remind us that we shouldn't be so quick to go there. So the more automation you have, the more drones and the more AI and the more machines you can put in the field, the easier we feel about war. The easier we are to the quicker we are to wanting to be willing to go to war because
Yeah.
we're putting less lives in the field, which means, you know, one thing, and that's great, but at the same time, the body count and the blood and the flags dripped over the coffins, that's supposed to be what keeps us from repeatedly going back to war. That's supposed
Yeah.
to be what helps us find our better angels and solve things diplomatically. So the
Well,
better
it's
we
been a
get,
long fucking 18 years of trying to figure that out.
the, the human
I
species
mean,
is master of one thing and one thing only. We have
destruction.
mastered not just destruction, our own self destruction. We are
Yeah.
quite literally the only species on the face of the earth that works tirelessly to figure out how to destroy ourselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's great that we have all these technological innovations that allow soldiers in the field to stay alive longer and keep them safe and blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, that is the very thing that makes it easier for us to go to fucking war. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought of that, you know. I mean, kind of like talking about it uh what was the end of which movie when the end of Act of Valor was that where they read the letter, the award? Um if for anyone that's ever gone to a military funeral, it's not short, it's not sweet, it's long, it's painful. I mean, there's no good descriptor that you can come up with about a military funeral. And the purpose is so that way everyone in attendance will forever remember the price that one person paid. And so, I mean, you have a point. Like, I mean, but at what point is that price too much?
well,
I
I mean,
mean,
you got to think about our society at large these days. The price of life is a lot lower than it used to be. We value life a lot less than we used to.
yeah,
20 years
yeah,
ago, or not 20 years ago, but 18 years ago, we used to see it in the newspaper. This many dead, and some shithole valley in fucking Afghanistan or some piece of fucking mud in Iraq, and
yeah,
that would hit people really hard. Like, oh shit, nigga, we lost 10 guys today, and that was a big
yeah,
number, big deal. Today, it's not a big deal to people anymore. Like the value of life, the sanctity of life itself. And for anybody listening, I'm not fucking talking about abortion. I'm talking about life, period. The
yeah,
value of life, what it means to value life, the value that people hold to someone else's life. It doesn't mean shit these days.
yeah.
Like
Uh,
so
uh,
it's one thing to be in a society where life is simply valued and protected and honored, and it's something completely different to be in a society that's just like Oh, that person died. Well, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, one of our viewers, Bethany, I worked with her at Bill.com. Her husband's a Marine. And she said, unpopular opinion, if we keep replacing people with machines, war is a game of money. Wars have been won on courage and heart against great odds with good men and women.
No, they haven't.
So, I mean, Bethany, I don't think that's unpopular at all. I think, you and Ryan hit the, hit the nail on the head.
I would disagree with that statement almost entirely.
You think so?
War has always been about money. War has never fucking been about honor or patriotism or anything else. That's a bunch of bullshit that they tell the guys on the ground so they go out and fucking fight.
But
Because
what
without
about World War II, though?
it was still about fucking money. You know
Uh,
how much money we got from our allies for that shit? Bro, we were fucking booming after World War II because of
well, yeah, because we
everything that we produce, and all of a sudden we're able to sell off everything that we're not going to use, which was like 75% of everything that we had produced in those few short years. So our
yeah,
economy booming. You go to any first world fucking superpower, and their economy is booming when it comes to warfare.
right.
War, when we're talking about the people who make wars happen and make wars end, it is always about politics and money. It is never, ever, ever, ever about patriotism or the flag waving in the fucking cornfields of Iowa or, off of 3rd Street. It's never about that. That's not what it's about. For us on the ground, it's about those things. But that's because we're not the ones involved in the politics and the money. War
Yeah,
itself, all throughout history, war was only about money. I'm going to conquer these people because I want what they have.
yeah. I mean, like, I'm in the middle. Of
That war
like,
has ever been honorable is a very dangerous thing. There is nothing honorable about war. And thinking there
oh
is.
no, not at all. No, I mean, yeah, it's one of my favorite things about war is war doesn't determine who's right; it determines who's left. And I've always been a fan of that sentiment because I mean it's totally true. I mean, war doesn't make someone morally correct or morally incorrect. It They're the ones that get to write the history books essentially. Um but I think, like, to your point and to Bethany's point, is your point of, if we put just machines out in the field, then we as Americans will just see war as a big old video game. Um, and it's those hopeful. I mean, granted, I mean, we've seen plenty of stories of soldiers and sailors and airmen going out doing goodwill in the areas that they're at. In the Navy, we called it a COMREL, which is short for community relations, where if we went into a port of call, we would go and rebuild schools and churches and, help create drainage systems with the Seabees. And so hopefully through that goodwill, we can form more allies. And it's those young men and women that raised their right hand, that swore to protect the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. But yeah, I mean, you're right though too. Is wars are about money at the end of the day. I mean, Halliburton wouldn't be in business if our military wasn't so damn strong. Um, you know, and so unfortunately, the cost of remembering how ugly war is American lives. And so, at what point then do we make the distinction that American lives are worth sacrificing? I mean, that's a fucking horrible way to put it, but it's the only way.
We're never going to make that distinction because we're not the ones in the position to make that distinction.
That's true.
That's true. We sacrifice. We're not the ones who choose who sacrifices. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
I'm not I'm not one of those dudes that like rants on Facebook all day about the military industrial complex. That's I can't stand those people. But there is something about the fact that defense contractors, it's an industry at this point. It is an entire industry into itself. Defense contracting.
Oh yeah.
And
absolutely.
There's something to be said about the fact that were it not for the past 18 years of constantly being at war, whether or not Congress declared it a war, if not for those 18 years, none of these fucking companies would be in business.
Yeah.
None of them. They do not serve the American. They do not.
Hell no, they don't.
They don't serve American.
No, I mean that's why, you know, before we went on deployment in 2003, that the Marines that were loading up onto our ship were going out and getting, you know, credit lines at 10, 15 grand so they could go buy their own fucking armor. Because instead of the military spending decent money and getting them proper armor, I mean, like, a lot of these guys were literally wearing flak jackets that were dated all the way back from Vietnam. And, you know, so I
mean, that has more to do with the United States government granting contracts to the lowest bidder.
Yeah, which that's a horrible fucking plan.
Again, that right there. War is about money. These motherfuckers make the decisions to send us out to die. They don't give a fuck if we come back. Because if they did, our shit would not be made by the lowest fucking bidder. Bro, as a hunter and as a fucking gun enthusiast, I should not be able to buy out of my own pocket better equipment on the civilian market than I was issued by the United States government when I went to fucking war.
Right.
It should be the other fucking way around. And that's why I always laugh when people fucking trot out the whole military grade fucking shit. Because guess what? Military grade is literally the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, when I see that like on truck commercials, like military grade transmission, I'm like, oh, you mean it's shit? Okay, cool. All right, good to know. I'll go with the Toyota then. I mean,
but it's that right there. It's all literally every single bit of it. It's all about money. All of it.
Yeah.
If we can profit off of war, we will go to war. If we can't profit off of it, and by we, I don't mean us. I don't mean you and me and whoever else might be listening. I mean the motherfuckers who sit with a guy in a goddamn suit in an air-conditioned office and make the decisions to send people to war. Those are the ones profiting.
Right.
If we not profit off of war, we will not go to war.
Yeah.
Fucking World War II.
Well,
World War II was not about, oh my God, they bombed Pearl Harbor. How dare they? Let's go fuck them up. Because guess what? They knew.
Yeah. Like, at this point, they knew it was coming.
At this point, it's not even a conspiracy theory. They let it happen.
Right.
The Lusitania, that was our fucking excuse for an entrance into fucking World War One. It wasn't a fucking surprise. Not to the people who made the decisions. Like, it's just...
So let's talk about conspiracy theories then. 9/11.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh. I mean...
Go ahead. Spew the words, Ryan. Let it out. Do you think our government could orchestrate an attack like that and not get caught?
Oh, I think that's entirely possible. Bro, we have fucking taken down governments across the world through covert means.
I know that, but I mean something of
like we have
this proportion.
We have toppled economies and other governments through covert means. And people are dumb enough to sit there and think that the people who did that to the motherfuckers over there wouldn't do the same thing to us. Like, we have conducted illegal fucking human experimenting on our own fucking citizens. We have sprayed radiation over entire fucking towns just to see what the fuck it would do. We have infected entire populations with syphilis just to see what the fuck it would do. So like, I don't trust the government at all. And people are always like, oh, well, fuck, dude, you worked for the government. I'm like, you're right, I did, and that's why I don't fucking trust them.
Right? Yeah. Like I didn't know better then. I do now.
I don't. I don't know that 9/11 was an inside job and all this other stuff. I think there is way more to what happened than any of us will ever truly know. And I think there were select few people within higher echelon American politics and decision making that probably, if not knew outright, had a very good damn idea what was about to happen. But again, we needed a prelude to war. We needed an excuse to go to war. So I think those very select few people probably like turned a blind eye to some information that might have come across their desk or whatever.
Yeah.
I think entirely possible. Why? Because we've done it several fucking times before.
It's kind of like dividing 0 by 0. Because at the time we went from Clinton to W, and after the first election he got reelected, and then we had Obama come in, and so one would think as much as the Democrats hated W at the end of his term, that Obama rolling in there could have turned over some rocks. But then the question is, how much did the Clintons know about it? And those that knew about it, that the Clintons knew about it, how many of those committed suicide involuntarily is what I'd like to know. You know, like, I mean, going really deep down the rabbit hole. Because, I mean, as much as the Democrats hated W at the end, once Obama got elected, they had to have had ways of finding out. But
and I think the last time I checked, during Clinton's presidency, dude, the American military was engaged in over like 40 something different places or 40 something different events. Like we were all over the fucking place. And that was really when we became the world fucking police, because Clinton was just like, oh, sure, we'll send American troops here. And then, we got W, and everybody likes to hate on W. And, I get some of the reasons why, but at the same time, what he did in taking us to Afghanistan and Iraq paled in comparison to what Clinton and W's predecessor or successor
HW
did under fucking Obama. Dude, you want to talk about expanding the authority for illegal searches and seizures and arrests and detainments and all this other stuff. You want to talk about expanding the authority to spy on anybody in the world, including American citizens, which is specifically against the law. You want to talk about what was it? Expanding the fucking NDAA, and he expanded the Patriot Act. Fucking people were mad about Bush with the Patriot Act.
Yeah.
And then Obama came in and was just like, boom, Patriot Act's my bitch now, and I'm going to use that shit like a motherfucker. Yeah. Obama fucking drone program. Like, dude, we used drones during Bush's presidency, but Obama came in and just started fucking up everybody and everything with the drones.
Yeah.
And we don't hear about that. To this day, we still hear about, oh my God, Bush put us in Iraq and Afghanistan. How horrible of a man. And I'm like, okay, but you're two shining figures of the Democratic Party, and this is not like a partisan rant. This is just these specific events.
Yeah.
Presidents involved. Fucking Clinton and Bush, Clinton and Obama, when it came to fucking using the military for their own purposes, them two didn't give a fuck.
No.
They were just like, oh, I like this idea, so we're gonna fucking do it. And yeah, I'm not okay with that. Like, when we have American phone companies colluding with the United States federal fucking government and the Department of Defense to literally spy on American citizens, that's a fucking problem.
Yeah.
I don't care
Yeah.
who's fucking, that's a fucking problem. And when you use that shit, you use stuff like that as another prelude to war, as another prelude to restricting civil rights. That is a fucking problem. But we only ever hear about it when somebody wants to talk shit about Republicans.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only time.
Well, and that's so like the last thing we'll kind of address, because it's still kind of an enigma to me, but I think in the coming years, as much as people may clown on Trump, whether you love him, you hate him, or you're anywhere in between, I think that Trump has at least kind of opened the eyes of the people, not the far left and not millennials, because they're too fucking ignorant to use their brain, but everyone else, the vast majority. I think Trump has at least exposed that it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. We all realize that it's these two parties that hold all the power and get to make all the choices, and we have nothing that we can do or say about it. And so, what I'm really curious to see is the involvement of Q and the involvement of Anonymous over the next few years to just, I mean, really fuck shit up. And almost to the point where, like we joke about the movie The Purge, but I mean, like in my heart of hearts, we can't be that far off from it at the rate that we're going. We can't.
Trump didn't expose shit.
Well, at
Trump's
least he made it a
fucking system.
You think?
One party said we don't like you, so he ran to the other party. Trump is like the worst one you can have because he doesn't identify as anything. He just runs to whichever area will give him the power. He's already got the money. Money wasn't his problem. He just didn't have the fucking power. Everybody sits there.
But even then, I mean, you've had all these Republicans that have just, I mean, tried to cut him off the knees too. I mean, this is the first candidate where truly both parties hate him equally.
I mean, yeah, you're right about that. But again, he was never a Democrat. And he was never a Republican.
No, he was a libertarian. I mean, by almost every.
That man is about as non-libertarian as you can.
Or no. I'm John. Well, we all know he's a capitalist. That's for sure. But okay. Yeah, absolutely. And so, like, with at least, like, I mean, if we go back in history, when is the last time that the two, both, because we've never really had a three-party system, and I doubt we ever will. When is the last time that both parties, I would say 80 to 85% of the combined two parties hate him and would do anything to get him out of office? I mean, that's got to be like either he's the worst president that we will ever have.
Okay, don't finish that sentence, because that does not at all mean that he's a good fucking president just because a lot of people hate him. That is not what it means at all. And that's the same fucking excuse that boomers use all the fucking time. Oh, they all hate him, so he must be doing something right. No, that is not.
No, I'm not saying he must be doing something right. I'm saying he must stand for. No, he is not doing something. The only thing that man has done right in the past 3.5 years has been over the past 2 weeks.
I can agree with that.
That's the only thing he's done right.
Trump doesn't stand for anything, though. Trump stands for Trump. And that is the most dangerous kind of person you can ever have in that kind of office. He doesn't stand for left or right. He doesn't stand for American or non-American. He doesn't stand for any of that shit. Trump stands for Trump. The decisions he makes are not based on some grand notion of patriotism or republicanism or conservatism. The decisions he makes are based off of the moves he can make to get him the power or the fame, not fame, what's the recognition or the power or whatever he's looking
Notoriety.
for. That's how he makes his decisions. How is this going to benefit me? Because let's be fair, he has definitely made some decisions that do not benefit the American people at all, Republican or Democrat.
Right.
Trump stands for Trump, not America, not the office of the president of the United States, not any notion of any deep-seated love for the country. And any politician will get up there and tell you that they do. And to be fair, most of them are fucking lying. But
right.
I mean, when the man had a chance to serve his country, he bailed.
True. Very true.
So, anybody can sit there and say, "Oh, well, he said this and this and that and the other," and that's fine. But when he had a chance to serve this country, when he had a chance,
he chose not to
this country, he bailed. He ran like a fucking coward, and I will never, ever, ever respect that. And, Republicans like to use, oh, he's got all these pictures with all these famous black leaders from back in the 80s and 90s. Well, yeah, because why? That's what allowed him to move through certain circles.
Yeah.
Taking those with them, being seen with them, benefited him at that moment. So, yes, he fucking did that. Guess what? The next fucking decade, he did a whole bunch of shit that was the exact opposite of that. Why? Because it benefited him.
True. So let me ask you, do you think he's going to get reelected?
Oh, I think there is a strong possibility that he would.
Another question. If Hillary tosses her hat into the ring, does she beat Trump this time around?
Fuck no.
You don't think so?
No. Because Hillary still hasn't learned her fucking lesson. She alienated so many people during the last election. Essentially had the what's it called? The attitude that, I've already got this in the bag. This is going to happen, so I don't need to do this. And she pandered to people in such a way that they knew she was fucking pandering to them. Like, I'm fucking when you go to the black fucking community and you sit there and make it a point to tell them that you carry hot sauce in your fucking purse, which, bitch, we all know you fucking don't.
Right,
Some dumb shit
like that bitch gets heartburn from fucking milk.
Like, when you do shit, like when you do something so blatantly pandering, people notice. And they're like, that's fuck. Like, you ain't have to say that. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with me? Like, what does that have to do with my vote? And like, she turned off a whole lot of people. And
she should have just kept her mouth shut and paraded Bill around.
I mean,
she would have done better, I think.
But she's also a dangerous statesman. She's a very dangerous statesman.
Oh yeah.
She is far more reserved than Trump is dangerous because he is entirely unpredictable. His own staff never know what he's going to do. And that's a problem. Hillary is dangerous. They both stand for themselves. They don't stand for any particular cause or side. They are both they stand for themselves. Hillary is dangerous because she is so reserved, nobody knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to say they're two sides of the same coin, but it's not exactly that. Like, nobody knows what to expect from them, but for two different reasons. So it's like the top half and the bottom half of the same side of a coin. And it's just it's very 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 fucking dangerous. Like Trump could wake up one day and we'll be in another fucking war. Like that's it. That's a
Yeah.
whole possibility because he's got that kind of temperament. Hillary, on the
Yeah.
other hand, she is reserved. She likes the backroom deals. She likes to keep things out of the public eye, and we would end up finding ourselves beholden to China or fucking some other country in such a manner as to be completely against the better interests of the United States of America because she did all this shit in the background. And that is
Right.
just so. And I mean, honestly, either one, whoever we get, and I said this during the last election, whoever we get, we absolutely deserve whoever we get.
Mm-hmm.
We deserved Trump in 2016. Not because
Yeah.
he's such a guy. We deserve the level of ignorance and foolishness and horseshit that the man has brought to the office of the president of the United States of America. Why? Because we allowed it to happen over the last few decades. We have allowed it to happen. We have become disengaged from the process. We have ignored the fucking process. We don't want to deal with shit. So we'll elect somebody to go deal with it for us. But then we won't pay attention to what they're fucking doing. So by the time shit's already gone bad, it's too late to fucking change. And then we notice all of a sudden, oh, why are things so bad?
Yeah.
And people want to blame the politicians, but I'm like, if it weren't for your fucking vote, they wouldn't be there.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, look at the midterm elections 4 years ago. I mean, like one of my neighbors, he's a teacher, and he asked his class, and this is a government class that he teaches. He asked them what the definition of a midterm election was. The majority of the people responded with, "Oh, well, that's what happens when a president gets impeached." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet Jesus." I mean, the last midterm election we had was the lowest voter turnout in like 35 years. And I mean that's the biggest problem is there's so much apathy that people just think that something good is going to happen, and they just hope that the majority of people, or not even the majority, but just the people that vote, will make the right call. So, all right, so last question for you. I'm curious. I'm going to run down the list of candidates that are still in the Democratic race, and tell me, if they went against Trump, would they win? You've got Michael Bennett.
No.
Biden.
Nah.
Yeah. Uncle Chomo Touchy Biden. Fuck no, not a snowball chance in hell. That dude is just weird as shit to me. Booker.
Fuck no.
Yeah, that dude just looks fucking creepy.
Booker
Bullock.
Trump.
Is what?
Booker is a Democratic Trump.
Yeah. He looks like the dude from The Mummy. The bad guy from the. Anyways. All right. Stephen Bullock.
No.
And then Buttigieg. However,
Mayor.
that dude is weird as fuck, man. He looks like he led a cult when he was younger.
The only one of those that has the ability to even put in a running against Trump is Biden, and that's because he was previously the vice president.
Right.
I mean, Biden leads in a couple polls, but that says absolutely nothing because we're still a year out from the fucking election.
Right.
There are a significant number of people that would rather vote for Joe Biden, but I don't think he'll get it. I mean,
what about Tulsi Gabbard?
So I absolutely adore Tulsi Gabbard. I don't agree with everything she says, but overall, I absolutely adore her. And totally wish that she would be president, but she's not going to become president anytime soon.
You don't think the DNC would back her?
No.
Really? Do you think the DNC is going to back Bernie?
The DNC is like actively trying to sabotage her fucking campaign.
Yeah.
She was the dark of the DNC, but so I like Tulsi Gabbard because she'll call out shit on both sides. Like she'll be yo, she'll be like, my party fucked this up. And the DNC absolutely does not like that at all. We already sabotaged Bernie Sanders last election. You know,
exactly.
By all accounts, Bernie Sanders should have had the Democratic nomination for president.
I've always said if Bernie if he would have gotten the nod from the DNC, he would be president right now. Because the American public would have not tolerated Trump beating up on Grandpa Bernie. They wouldn't have handled it.
I don't think that's a good enough reason. I still think Trump would have won.
I think people. So, in my opinion, I think people saw Trump as the anti-establishment against Hillary. It's not the truth, but it's, I think, people's perceived reality. However, Bernie Sanders, there's a lot of things that he talked about that I'm like, no, that's a bad fucking idea. But at the same time, Bernie Sanders, like he talked about, free education for all. But he also, the thing that the media rarely ever focused on was the fact that colleges across the country for the past 20 years have bastardized the education system and have made it to be one of the biggest capitalistic schemes in the nation. And his thought of, challenging colleges and capping tuition rates and also doing loan forgiveness, I think that resonated with a lot of people. But I mean, if I were a betting, I don't think Beto is going to do anything.
He ended his campaign, so he's definitely not.
Oh, did he? Okay. I didn't see that he. Okay, so, and then you've got the 1024th Native American. She's not going to do shit. Fucking hate that woman. So I mean, like, I would be totally stoked if I mean, do you think the Independent Party, the Green Party, do you think anyone other than Republicans would pick up Tulsi?
I do, but that would be extremely detrimental to her. Simply,
that's true.
None of the other parties have any sort of real structure. They don't have any real message. They just
don't have the war chest.
They're a complete shit show. The Green Party has been a shit show and a fucking punchline for as long as I've been alive.
Right.
Libertarian, at the outset of the Libertarian Party, it had some promise, but again, there's no clear message, there's no clear platform, there's no real thing about them. It's just a bunch of people that say we want to get government out of the way, but they have absolutely no answers to anything. And then, definitely when you put up somebody like, what was his fucking name? The guy that ran as a Libertarian in the last election. Son of a bitch. I joke about him all the time. I can't remember, but whatever his name was. And he was so ignorant of, like, foreign events and domestic events. He was ignorant on every level of policy you can imagine. And
is that Gary Johnson?
The what?
Gary Johnson.
Gary Johnson, yes.
Yeah.
If the Libertarian Party wanted to be taken seriously, they would not have put up Gary Johnson.
True. But then again, if Republicans wanted to be taken seriously, they would have never had the chick from Alaska. But
Palin.
Palin.
But she was VP, not running for
Yeah.
president. It's a lot easier to get away with putting a dumbass on the fucking VP ticket than it is the other way around.
True.
And also that was, and it was kind of a nod to the female Republican voters, because let's be fair, there are no legitimate strong. There's not a whole lot of legitimately strong female candidates out there on the Republican side.
No. The last one was was it Meg Ryan? No, she's an actress. The lady who ran Microsoft.
Can't think of her name right now. But and then, the other thing with the Libertarian Party is like they got co-opted by a bunch of people who just want to yell about legalizing weed. Like, okay,
yeah,
that's one issue, but that cannot be, drugs cannot be your main issue.
No.
And if you talk to a lot of libertarians, they'll say that's not our main issue. We have this issue and that issue and that issue, and that's great. But you know what? Your party as a whole promoted that single issue to the top of the fucking pyramid and would not shut up about it. And then you put up as your representative a guy who is perpetually fucking high and doesn't know shit about shit. So
right.
for Tulsi Gabbard to run in any other party would be disastrous for her, and it wouldn't be her fault. I think she would have to stay as a Democrat, but even right now, it's incredibly dangerous to be a moderate Democrat.
Yeah.
In the Democratic Party, unless you are far left of center, you are hated. And right now, the Democratic Party is like eating her. They're trying to eat her alive because she's not far left of center. She's left of center, which is fine.
Right.
But she is far off the reservation as people want her to. Like what's her dumbass, the real dumb one, AOC.
That
girl should have never been put in front of a microphone. Every time she opens her mouth, she sounds more and more dumb. But I love Tulsi Gabbard. She is amazing. I love the fact that she enlisted in the United States Army, and then she was deployed, and she was decorated for her service while she was deployed. And then she went to officer candidate school, or maybe it was ROTC. I can't remember which one, but she got commissioned. And I love the fact that when it comes to military matters, she actually knows what the fuck she's talking about.
Right.
Like Mayor Pete served as well. Pete Buttigieg, or however the fuck you pronounce that.
Yeah.
He's a veteran, but I don't know. I don't like him. He's just no.
Yeah. Well, hey, I just had a thought. The next debate is scheduled for November 20th. Would you want to do a live stream during that debate? I mean, we might have to involve alcohol and shots and an ambulance before it's all said and done. But
I totally would. Honestly, though, most of the people, like our audience right now, are not people that watch the debates, if we're being serious.
Based on the people that have watched so far, I think so.
What was the last debate you watched?
Whatever. I'm thinking like we can watch a debate just for like comic relief, and just make fun of people. But I mean, but we can also give our 2 cents during it because, like I've watched these debates before, and obviously, depending on whether it's a Republican debate or a Democratic debate, whichever network is hosting it, they have an obvious bias for whoever they're supporting. It may be a little bit covert, but at the end of the whole thing, who's rooting for who.
Yeah, I mean, presidentials are a whole other beast, because let's be honest, the American people are not electing the president of the United States. The Electoral College elects the president of the United States. And if we're being technical, yes, the electors in the college are elected by the people themselves. However, they're all representatives from those states that have to get elected in. But let's be fair. There are 538 electors in the college. You need a total of 270 of those electors to win. So when we're talking about presidential races, we're not talking about the message going to the people in those states. We're talking about the message going to that state's certain number of electoral college representatives. So, yeah. And I mean, you know how many fucking states, like the entire Midwest gets fucking ignored every 4 fucking, you know?
Well, like, check this. So,
like Florida, New Hampshire, Ohio, fucking California, Texas. Like, it boils down to a handful of states every fucking.
Oh, yeah. So, I'm just doing some math real quick. Okay, so California has 55, Texas has 38, New York has 29, Florida has 29, Illinois has 20, and Pennsylvania has 20, for a total of 191 electoral votes.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
And in the last few years, states that have previously been almost permanently considered red or blue have flipped.
Right.
So that states that, you know, Republicans used to be able to count on, they can't count on anymore. You know, they could be like, oh, we've got this state and this state and this state, it's in the bag. That's not the case anymore. And the same goes with Democrats.
Yeah.
More states are becoming purple down the fucking line. And it's getting harder and harder to identify where your usual strong spots are. Texas.
Right.
Texas has been very purple for years. And Texas is in danger of becoming a blue state.
Because all the Californians are moving there.
Well, I mean, that is one of the... But, I mean, the thing is, yeah, Texas is a whole other conversation.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's pretty much all I got. But, you know, maybe we can check with the rest of the crew. And, I mean, if everyone's down with personally, I think it would be fun, you know, to kind of just bullshit based on what we're watching on TV and, you know, either, you know, be like a good call or bullshit, you know, and just kind of throw in our 2 cents while watching it. I would be down for that.
I would too.
So, okay. We'll check with the rest of the crew and then, you know, see what their thoughts are. But thanks, man. It's, you know, fun chatting about all this stuff. And especially the thing that I got the most from everything was your points on replacing our troops with robots and our country forgetting the actual cost of lives in war. So I hope people remember that because I think that's probably the most poignant thing that came from everything tonight.
Cool.
So always. All right, man. Well, stay out of trouble. Have a good evening, and I'll chat with you next week.
You too, man.
All right. Take care.